if you're struggling with some form of addiction, um, whether it be addiction to a substance or to a process or to a person even, and you don't have anybody in your life that really understands this, maybe here's a good way to explain it to them. And this is really just coming from my own personal experience with my 20 plus years of alcoholism before I got sober many years ago. Um, if you've ever been really, really hungry and there's nothing to eat and your stomach is just kind of just in knots and you just have to have something to eat to kind of satiate that feeling, and you finally get something to eat and that feeling gets worse. That's what addiction feels like. That's the easiest way I can explain it. So you have a need to eat something, you eat it, and all it wants you to do is eat more because that feeling gets worse and worse and worse. The hunger, the craving never goes away. What's the difference between somebody that abuses a substance and somebody that's addicted to a substance? If you look at this just like the clinical terminology, you can have substance abuse and substance dependency. And it's like everything else, it's on a spectrum, right? You could have somebody that drinks a glass of wine a couple nights a week, substance use, right? They're using a substance. No big deal. You can have somebody that abuses alcohol. Every weekend they go out and they get blackout drunk. But that's about it. Not really any consequences. Just every Friday and Saturday night, they get blackout drunk. But throughout the weekends, they're fine. And then all of a sudden they say, you know what? I'm no longer going to drink anymore. And they stop drinking. That's substance abuse. They have the ability to stop drinking without any problems, no withdrawal symptoms, no need for formal help. And really, this is a very basic definition. And substance dependency is you can still just blackout drink every weekend, but when you try to stop, you can't. You don't have the ability. Every Friday night, you end up getting blackout drunk again. Now we're looking at substance dependency. And there's a lot on that spectrum. You can have somebody that drinks alcohol every day. Maybe they don't get blackout drunk, but say they get tipsy every day for a few years. They're abusing alcohol. But then again, they decide they want to stop. They stop drinking. They don't have any problems. It's alcohol abuse. You have somebody that drinks every day, and then the next morning they wake up and they're shaking. They can't not drink. That's substance dependency. That's addiction. When we have a physiological and a psychological dependency on the substance for our system to be normal. Addiction's the one illness that tells you you don't have it. This is why 12-step programs work so well. It's because they remind you on a daily basis that you're still an alcoholic, even though you've got 20 plus years of sobriety. And that if you stop doing what you need to do to stay sober, if you stop taking your medication, for me, my medication is always be honest, even when you don't want to be. Take care of your body, take care of other people, and do the right thing most of the time, if you can. And when you don't do the right thing, make up for it as soon as possible. That's my medication. There's not a cancer patient in the world that wouldn't love to have that treatment, right? And it works. 12 steps work very well. We don't know where we're at on that spectrum. And I know people is like, well, I want to be able to do this on my own, and I want to be able to drink the way I want to be able to drink. Well, it depends on where you are on that spectrum. If you are a person that is in a stage of your life or a season of your life where just going out socializing in South Scottsdale is part of who you are and what you do, and you're not having any consequences of that, then I wouldn't pay too much mind to it. But if you're finding that you have a lot of consequences due to your drinking or due to your substance abuse, then that's one sign of addiction, is I do the behavior despite negative consequences. I know I'm going to get in trouble. I know something bad's going to happen. I'm going to do it anyway. The need for it, or the idea of tolerance, like last week I had 3 beers and now I need 6 to get the same effect. Those things, you can't avoid that. right? The cancer patient doesn't want cancer, but they have it. You have to first go out and find out, do you have addiction? Do you have a substance dependency? If you have a substance abuse problem, then that's a lot easier to change. The problem is substance abuse problems tend to turn into substance dependency over time. So yeah, I get it. You don't want to have to be dealing with this the rest of your life. Listen, I've been sober a long time. I don't deal with it anymore. I don't have a problem. People could be drinking. My wife drinks. My family drinks. I don't care. I go to parties with friends and they're smoking weed. I don't care. I have no problem with it because I've been doing what I need to do. So you won't have to deal with it forever. But if you don't deal with it, it's going to deal with you. I get it. People are like, well, I want to just be able to have 2 drinks. Great. Go out and try and have 2 drinks. And if you can't, if you find yourself having 3, 4, 5, 6 drinks, then you can't go out and have 2 drinks. And that's why so many people die from addiction, because they don't want to face the reality that they cannot handle this substance or this behavior. Alcohol is pretty bad because it's socially acceptable. It's legal, especially with people with prescription pain medication addiction. Eventually, they're probably going to have a pain medication at some point in their life. We all will. At some point, we're going to have a knee replacement or a hip replacement, or we're going to have some type of surgery. That's not the case for cocaine and heroin and meth, right? You can drop those and never have to touch them again or never be introduced to them again. Alcohol and pain medication, they're around all over the place, so that's a lot harder. I find that when you look at people that are chronic relapsers, and this analogy can be also used for people that self-sabotage in other aspects of their life outside of addiction. But let's use addiction as kind of the talking point here. Addiction is like being in a deep well, a deep hole that you're digging. So you're digging the hole that you're in. The 12-step community says, when do you hit rock bottom? When you stop digging. So we can get used to being in that hole. And what we can do, and I did this personally for a couple years at least, and probably 4 years until I finally figured out how to get sober, was you climb out of that hole. You get some sobriety time. You're doing all the things you need to do. You get your life back in order. You get at the top of that hole. You climb out. Oh, you're in a normal life now. You're looking around and everything feels good and wonderful. And the hole's right next to you. And what did I do? I jumped right back into the goddamn hole. I jumped right back into my addiction. Got all the way down to the bottom, dug a little bit more, called a relapse, kept drinking, okay? Start climbing out of that hole again. Finally get to the top of that hole, get out of it, feeling great about myself, and I jump back in again. And I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I continually jumping back into that hole where there's misery and destruction and pain and lying and deceit? Why am I doing that? And I started realizing I'm addicted to this behavior. I'm not just addicted to the drinking. I'm addicted to climbing out of this hole. I know I can do it. I'm confident I can do it. So I jump back in and I climb back out again. Why am I doing that? Because I'm afraid of what's outside of the hole. I don't know how to interact with life on life's terms. I don't know what to do on top of the ground. I know what to do in the hole, but I don't know what to do up here. The goal is to quit jumping in the hole. There's nothing in that hole that I can learn from anymore. I've learned all the lessons I can in that hole. I have to take those lessons that I've learned in the hole and apply them to life outside of it. That's the whole point of being in the hole. The whole reason that my creator put me in that hole over and over and over again, or I put myself in there, was to learn all of the lessons that got me to a place where I'm pretty happy with my life now. But I had to go through that. And I'm at this point now after, many, many years of sobriety that I'm so grateful that I'm an alcoholic. And I didn't ever think I'd say that. but it has been the best gift that my creator could have given me. Do I regret a lot of things? Yeah. Did I hurt a lot of people? Yeah. Are all of those relationships better now? Yeah, they are. They're better because of what we went through. And I'm not special. Anybody can do that. I'm not special. But I have to recognize I keep jumping in the hole. So we take that analogy and we look at self sabotage. Just self sabotage, you're doing really well at work or you're doing really well in a relationship and you do something just to destroy it because you don't feel like you're worth it. And then you knock yourself down and you get back down in that hole and you feel sorry for yourself and you climb way back out and you do it again. People self sabotage all the time because they're more comfortable with the process of digging their or climbing their way out than they are of using what they've learned and propelling themselves to the next level.